طيب grade 12 we're discussing the timeline and we're summarizing the PowerPoint of the Enlightenment Revolution, American Revolution, Scientific Revolution into one big timeline. We already said that the first point on your timeline will be the Renaissance. We do not need to know any details, okay? And then the second point on your timeline will be the Enlightenment, okay? I want you to draw 2 points and the area in between دي كده. This is the scientific revolution. ماشي يعني the scientific revolution is an event that happened during the enlightenment. Clear؟
يعني اكتبها تحت الانلايتمنت.
يعني بصي اهو هنا دي
لسه حضرتك بترسمي في حاجة عشان أنا مش شايف قدامي.
I'm drawing the timeline. Can you see it?
فين فوق؟
At the top فوق scientific revolution.
أنا عندي مش باينة.
ليه؟
مش عارف ليه باينة عشان عامل سكرين شير.
ما I'm scribbling on your screen, then you have to see it. Just like you do on my screen. إيه؟ طب on the timeline.
مش ممكن حضرتك تدخليه سمر؟
I did. The first dot اللي هي Renaissance. Okay?
كده بان ماشي.
Can you see it? ماشي. The first point is the Renaissance. This is the event that happened. And then we have a longer period, which is the Enlightenment. During the Enlightenment, what happened was the scientific revolution. Clear? يعني red arrow دي اللي هي scientific revolution. Do you all understand? طيب في النوتس بقى تحت scientific revolution you need to write number 1. I'll just tell you the titles and then you need to know them in details. Geocentric theory versus heliocentric theory. Okay? You need to know all about these two theories. That the geocentric theory was the theory supported by the Roman Catholic Church and the heliocentric theory, sorry, it was supported by the Roman Catholic Church and it stated that this, geocentric is the one supported by the Roman Catholic Church and it stated that the earth is the center of the universe. Along with the Roman Catholic Church, Aristotle and Ptolemy, they both supported this theory. Earth was the center of the universe and the sun and the other planets, they revolve around it. The geocentric theory,
Miss Mash, the earth was
the center of the universe. And all the other planets and the sun and the moon, they revolve around it. Okay? Thank you, Daniel. This is the wrong theory. This is the one that was supported by the Bible, the Roman Catholic Church, Aristotle, and Ptolemy, who are classic thinkers, okay, old thinkers before the Renaissance. Now, during the scientific revolution, another theory came, which is the heliocentric, which, according to observation, stated that the sun was the center of the universe. Okay? But in the geocentric and the heliocentric theory, I can ask you too many questions. First of all, state the theory. When I ask you to state the theory, you will say that geocentric, Earth is the center of the universe, heliocentric, sun is the center of the universe. If I ask you who were the supporters of the theories, geocentric, Aristotle, Ptolemy, Roman Catholic Church. Heliocentric, Copernicus. Okay? Is it clear with the geocentric and heliocentric? This is number 1. Okay? Number 2, Copernicus. You need to know that he was the one who discovered the heliocentric theory, but he did not publish this theory because he feared persecution, because he was going against the Roman Catholic Church. Okay? Next, you need to know the
feared
name.
ايه؟ He feared ايه؟
Persecution. يعني he feared that he would get killed.
Okay.
I'm just writing the names here. Nicolaus Copernicus. Can you all see the name? And then Tycho Brahe, and Johannes Kepler. Can you see these three names?
No
No,
لا.
Lee.
مش باينة.
Give me a second. Can you see them now? It's right
لا
under the
لسه.
word series. Yes, can you see them?
لسه.
لا برضه مش شايفة حاجة.
مش حاجة أنا كتبت بس. Why can't you see them?
مش موجودين.
طيب, I wrote three names. Nicolaus Copernicus, Tycho Brahe, and Johannes Kepler. They are written in your book. These three were responsible for the book, not PowerPoint. They were responsible for the appearance of the heliocentric theory. Okay? Nicolaus Copernicus, he was the one who actually followed the steps and observed the universe and the skies and the stars and discovered that Earth is not the center of the universe. But he did not publish his ideas. When he died, Tycho Brahe continued the observation and he recorded the movements of other planets to prove the theory of Copernicus. Okay, but still he did not publish it. Kepler was a mathematician who proved it not only scientifically, but he also proved it mathematically, and then it had to be published and it went out for the public. Clear? Do you understand?
Yes.
Up until this point, the idea was still not approved by the church. Now, the next name to come after is Galileo Galilei. Okay, now Galileo, what he did was he built his own telescope. This is number no, it's still the same. 4, right? This is number 4.
3.
Three?
دي point
3
number
بس.
Okay, 3. Galileo, he was still behind the theory of heliocentric and geocentric. What he did was he built his own telescope. This is one thing that you need to know. And he used it. Galileo, ماشي. We're still talking about the heliocentric versus the geocentric. But everyone is proving it in a different way. Galileo did 2 things. One, he built his own telescope. And he used it to study the heavens and the sky and space in 1609. So you need to know the date, you need to know the name, and you need to know the first accomplishment that he did. 1609, built his own telescope and used it to study the heavens or sky or space. The first point under Galileo, is it clear?
Yes.
أبو
Yes.
الفرح مطر جنى
ايوه مس ايوه يا مس
وحضرتك يا مس.
أيوة يا مس.
الثلاثة اللي طالعين من الهيليوسنتريك اللي هو جهانيس وكوبرنيكوس ومين؟
Johannes Gutenberg, this is the mathematician, Tycho Brahe, and Copernicus. Okay? When you're done sharing the screen, I'll write down the list of the names so you can see the spelling.
Okay.
Okay. So, Galileo, the first thing that he did was he built his own telescope. And then the second thing he did in 1610, he published a book called The Starry Messenger. where he described in details his observations and he contradicted all what's written with Aristotle, Ptolemy, and the church. And at the end of the book, he supported Copernicus's ideas. So the difference between what Galileo did and what all the three previous mathematicians and scientists did was that Galileo actually, after proving it, published it in a book. A book can reach a lot of people, and a book means that all the events and words inside of it are documented. So in the book, based on what he studied from his telescope, he described the observations exactly. What did he see? So that if anyone wants to check. And he supported Copernicus, thus contradicting the ideas of Aristotle, Ptolemy, and the church. Do you understand?
Mm.
Okay, the next date. Are you writing the dates? 1609, 1610.
Yes.
Now, 1616.
ثانية، هو 1610 اللي عمل فيه البوك صح؟
Yes, called the Starry Messenger.
What? Story Messenger?
Mhm.
ده ستوري؟
Book where he published his observations. Story A.
لا اسمه ايه؟
ستوري
Story.
اه
Starry.
ماسنجر. اوكي.
Okay. Now, in 1616, the church warned Galileo not to defend the ideas of Copernicus. So in 1616, Galileo got a warning from the church. Clear? (1632) published the book, another book, after the warning, called, I'll write the name at the end, so don't keep asking about it because it's a long name. 1632, he published another book after the church warned him, called The Dialogue Concerning the Two Chief World Systems. I'll write the name. Okay? This book, what he did was, because he was warned by the church, so out of challenge, he published another book. The first book, he recorded only his observations. In the second book, which is the dialogue concerning the two chief world systems, what he did was he presented the ideas of Ptolemy and Aristotle. And on the other side, he presented the ideas of Copernicus. And the book clearly showed that the ideas of Copernicus are correct and they make more sense and they are proved by Galileo himself. Okay? Do you understand? (1633) Galileo went to trial because he did not listen to the warning of the church and he challenged them by proving another book. So they called him for trial. In the trial, under the threat of torture, which means that they threatened him, either you say what we want you to say or we're going to torture you till death. So under the threat of torture, he read a confession stating that the ideas of Copernicus were false and that he made up his observations in both books. Clear.
ايه ده يعني؟ ممكن اخر حتة دي تاني؟
حاضر. هو Galileo, who did he support? Copernicus
كوبرنيكوس.
ولا Roman Catholic Church?
لا كوبرنيكوس.
Copernicus was with which theory? الجيوسنتريك اللي هي
الهيليو. لا الهيليوسنتريك.
How did he do this? By proof. ايه proof? Observations, documentations, وbuilding a certain telescope which he actually did to prove everything. صح? He got a warning. Instead of stopping, no. He wanted to prove to the public اللي هي compare and contrast. حتى theories بتاعت Ptolemy and observations وحتى بتاعت Copernicus, and it was clearly shown to the public without any
كوبرنيكوس هو الصح.
إن Copernicus هو صح, which meant that he published another book that greatly supported Copernicus. Not only that, لا ده كمان إيه يعني جايب بالproof how did he prove ان Ptolemy والأرسطوطل والchurch is wrong. Clear?
تمام
So he was called
اوكي
to to trial, sorry, in 1633. في الترايل they told him either you say that heliocentric is wrong أو we will torture you till death. Clear?
اوكي
خلاص he said okay ماشي I agree. What did he do? In the trial he read a confession, and this confession was written by the court, by the judge. The confession دي stated that the ideas of Copernicus were false, he fabricated his observations to prove in Copernicus is right. تمام؟
to prove ان Copernicus is not
Is
right
wrong.
يعني
Oh,
تمام اوكي
okay. Not only this, not only the confession, but he was never a free man again. He was held under house arrest until he died in 1642. That's the second date. Yani, even after the confession, he was not allowed to leave his house until he died in 1642, which makes it 9 years. So he was held under custody at home for 9 years until he died. Clear?
تمام اوكي
ماشي يلا quickly عشان ايه نلحق.
died in which year?
1642. Okay, now next point on the timeline, on the dates يعني, is mid 1600s. In the mid 1600s, the scientific method was introduced.
in med كام يا مس
Mid 1600s. Yes, thank you. The scientific method was introduced. Okay, you need to know what is the scientific method. Okay, you start, the definition is, it's a logical procedure for gathering and testing ideas. You need to write the definition. Okay, you can go back to the video. A logical procedure for gathering and testing ideas. They are 4 or 5 steps depending on how you divide them. 1, you pick a problem or a question that you need to check. Number 2, you form a hypothesis or something, a way to answer it. Number 3, the hypothesis is tested in an experiment. Number 4, you analyze and interpret the data. This last step, you can divide it into 2. Either you say that it's analyzed and you interpret the data, and then in number 5, you reach a conclusion that confirms or disapproves with the hypothesis, or you say it all in one sentence. Do you all understand? We took it in sociology.
yes اوكي
Okay? So done with the scientific method, the next thing would be Isaac Newton. Okay? Also in the mid 1600s, Isaac Newton, he stated a couple of theories that the first theory was the gravity theory, which is that all physical objects were affected equally by the same forces. This is why every object in the universe attracts each other. So Isaac Newton published 2 theories. One is the law of gravity, which is all physical objects were affected equally by the same forces. اللي هي action reaction. This is why there's gravity. The second theory is that the world acts as a giant clock, each working in a specific time for a certain period of time for a certain cause, and then it stops. Clear?
لا ممكن بتاعت اللي هي ال giant clock دي تاني
Giant clock. The world is a giant clock. All the parts of the world, whether it's the trees, the animals, the people, the catastrophes, everything that happens, it happens for a reason, just like the parts of the clock. Every single movement pushes another thing to move, and it's a continuous domino-like structure for the whole clock to move. Do you understand or no?
تمام اوكي
يعني just like the domino sets اللي هو when you push one and it all slides on top of each
ايوه
other.
ايوه تمام
هي دي الكلوك. one tick moves مش عارفة one wheel moves one part of something يعني.
فهمت تمام انا فاهمة
So the world moves the same way. catastrophes happen, for example, for a certain reason, and then a lot of people die to reduce the population, but then another bunch of babies are born, and then the world is balanced. Yani every part of the world moves or does its part for a certain period of time, and then it stops. Clear?
Mhm.
Okay. Next, you have in 1590. These are the developments in science. All of the previous parts up until Isaac Newton were astronomical inventions or astronomical ideas. This is the scientific part. We have two, microscope and thermometer. Yes, the new inventions. The microscope was developed in 1590 by Zacharias Janssen. I'll write the name. Okay, as soon as I finish, I'll write down the names in one note and I'll upload it on SMS. So the first microscope, it was developed by Janssen in 1590. And the first thermometer was invented by Gabriel Fahrenheit in 1714. A lot of other inventions emerged, like the barometer and other discoveries. Clear? So the date that you have to add is 1590, and this has to do with science. Next slide, Daniel.
مس ممكن تقولي اللي هي بتاعت المامتر تاني الديت
الثرمومتر
بتاعها
الثرمومتر ال
1590 برضه.
1714.
1714.
ال 1590 ده الميكروسكوب. Now in medicine,
تمام.
you have one only invention that you need to know. It's not written in the slide. 1543, Andreas Vesalius. He made a book, a detailed book about the uh, detailed parts of the human body after he dissected the human body. It was called The Structure of the Human Body. So write down the date, 1543, and write down medical book on human body parts. And then you will find the name and the date in the document that I'll upload. Chemistry. You have Robert Boyle. In 1661, he wrote The Skeptical Chemist. He challenged again
إن كان
Aristotle.
يا مس معلش
1661. Robert Boyle was a chemist, okay, that challenged Aristotle's ideas, but not in astronomy, in science, in chemistry precisely, okay? And he said that the world is made up of four elements: earth, air, fire, and water. Aristotle said that land is, يعني, the world is made up of only uh, earth, air, fire, and water. These are the basic natural elements, and that there are no other elements. Robert Boyle, using chemical investigations and experiments, disagreed with Aristotle's ideas and said that there are many more elements on Earth other than these four. Clear?
clear.
Okay, the last thing that you need to know is that I need you to write changes. Daniel, can you stop sharing the screen? Okay. Where's the part where I annotate? Okay.
هو لسه في حاجة تانية ولا كده خلصنا كل الدرس؟
لا, this is for the scientific revolution only. We have the Enlightenment and the American Revolution. You can only study it from the PowerPoint. هو Enlightenment, I'll add it to the document, the Word document. I need you to write changes in reformation led to changes in science, and then it led to changes in government. Clear? Changes in Reformation, this is the first part that we took, Reformation of religion and Martin Luther. Changes in science, this was the introduction of the time of the Enlightenment.